Good morning, welcome to our cozy garden, previously Canadian Prairie Edible Garden. This is Randy, and today we'd like to share with you guys some plants we have for the backyard. We are adding more and more flowering and fruit-bearing shrubs, and we are running out of garden beds. So we've decided to create a semi-master plan for our backyard and build around that. We'd like to have some corners here and there that could subdivide the backyard garden, because right now it's pretty open and it's not as cozy as we want it to be. So I'll show you in a bit of what we're thinking. I use a 3D design software called Sketchup by Google, and I've made a model of our backyard. So this is how the backyard currently looks like. Unfortunately, this Pembina plum and Brook Red plum did not survive the winter, so we have to take them out. So this is our backyard garden master plan. It's a 3D software, and of course it's not a requirement to have a well-planned garden, but I just love doing stuff like this. I have a background in engineering, so I am a bit comfortable doing this for my plans. Of course, you can have perhaps a sketch, or using paper and pencil, or some also use Excel file and then place the garden plan in there, garden beds, and then what to plant. As long as you have something to use to plan out your planting, it also helps you think about where the sunlight hits the garden and how long the sunlight is on certain areas of the space. Then that's a really big help in planning out whether to plant full sun, partial shade, or full shade plants. Let me change the view right there. So another advantage I see in doing a plan like this is when you have different decision makers for your garden, and in my case it's me and my wife. We get to discuss details based on what we're seeing, and sometimes it's just easier to, a picture paints 1,000 words. It's easier to say it with a picture, and in this case a 3D model that helps us arrive at decisions faster, because gardening can be a big investment too, even for a small house like ours. The trees are expensive, the plants at some point get very expensive, so you would want to agree on the things that are purchased, the things that are in your backyard, and it just helps a lot when you have something like this. Alright, so let me get this zoomed in a bit. Let's see. Okay. So if you remember, let me get back to the other view. Okay. So if you remember, we currently have some islands in here, right in the middle. 2 of those, and those were done initially to complement the Y pathway that we were planning last year. But based on my conversation with May, we decided not to do that, because we've seen that the gardens in the middle are not well protected from the wind. So our huscaps were actually taking damage over the windy spring season. So we decided we're going to take those out, 1 and 2, and then instead focus on this corner. Now, I'm calling this a cozy spot, because really one of the intentions is to have spaces within the garden that you can enjoy throughout the day. This wall right here is a south-facing wall, and for us in the northern hemisphere, I am in Canada, this is the sunniest spot for a garden. It's also away from an east wall and the house, so it does have a full sun in there more than 8 hours. So we discussed that and we agreed that that's where a lot of the flowering plants, specifically the roses, would be planted best on that side. So in summer, currently this spot is very hot in the middle of the day. So we can't use it as is. And that's one of the reasons why we will be planting these trees in here to give this area more shade and make it a bit cooler. We also discussed how the backyard garden and the whole property is sloped down towards the front of the house. And this is intentional, done by the developer to make sure that whatever rainfall in our backyard is drained off the property every time. And this is especially important for houses with basements such as ours. Otherwise, you would have water leaking into your basement and a whole lot of other problems. But at the same time, I still want to have a flat surface for this area in the garden. I want to put in a small coffee table and some chairs to use. So we agreed on something like this, which is an outdoor stone patio made up of stones and solid ground in the middle, covered with bricks. This way we can see to it that water doesn't stay in the middle, and if it does, then we would have to re-level the area and make sure that rainwater drains off the space and doesn't affect our grading closer to the foundation of the house. And since this will cost us a lot more money, we might need to do this next year or in 2 years. So yeah, that's the plan for our new scented garden. Alright, so we're planting Crimson Passion Cherry. It is said to be the sweetest in the Romance series. They are a series of sour cherry variety developed in Saskatchewan, University of Saskatchewan. So this one is said to be the sweetest in the series. Its name is Crimson Passion Cherry. So we're going to plant it right here, and once their cherries ripen, they're very easy to access. It also provides shade for this part of this corner. So right before planting, you'd want to massage the root ball of the tree. You don't want to damage it, so you have to be gentle with it, but just enough to sort of bruise it so it could stimulate root growth after planting. So here we're adding mycorrhizal fungi or fungi. This fungi actually exists everywhere in the soil underneath us, wherever you have plants or trees. It is estimated that 80% of plants have a symbiotic relationship with this fungi. So how it works is we're trying to brush the fungi onto the root ball of the plant, and then it attaches itself to it and then creates an internal structure inside the root cells without harming the plant, or in this case the tree. And then once it's established, the plant and the mycorrhizae then exchanges sugars and nutrients. And over time, this fungal network extends outside the roots, which essentially extends the reach of the plant roots even up to 700 times more in terms of soil area. So I'm just making sure that there are no air pockets around the root ball, because you'd want the soil to touch the root ball surface and sides so that the new roots would grow through it. So we're moving some stuff around. I'm moving the tulips in front where there's full sun. Under the tree, under the cherry tree, and they should be fine with that as long as they have sun. And this new part of the garden will become a scented sensorial garden. So we'll put in scented roses, maybe lilacs, some other scented plants in here. Yeah, so that's the plan. So next we'll be moving this burning bush. I'll take this out of here, that one, and that one, because it's growing too fast and too profusely. And we're going to put them right here as right at the entrance of our new sensorial garden. So I've cleaned up the space for now. I just planted replanted our first burning bush. So I think it looks great right there. The thing though is, I realized before I plant the second one here, I might as well get the second tree that we're planning to get, so I don't disturb the replanted burning bush on that corner. So we're off to get the second tree. We haven't decided yet, but we're looking at either another Romance series tree, Romance series cherry tree, or an apricot one that would survive our harsh zone 3 conditions. So we'll see.